God bless you, good people. Welcome back to another episode of Fridays by the Fire. I am Sandy Best Life Jones, and I'll be guiding you through tonight's episode. So good to be with you again on this wonderful Friday night. Tonight's episode is um it kind of comes from a few lessons that I've learned over probably the past year. And you know what I like to do? I like to take my lessons and turn them into a message that anybody can use to possibly learn a lesson of their own. So that's what tonight's episode is all about. The title of tonight's episode is The Cost of Forcing Relationships. This is what I've learned. Sometimes we exhaust ourselves trying to force entry into places that, were never meant to hold us. While God, in his infinite wisdom, has quietly opened a window on the other side of the house. As human beings, you know, we don't like windows. They feel small, they're less grand, they're less validating. It's less dramatic, it's not as sexy. You know what I'm saying? We like to be seen sometimes. We all do. Just, if the shoe fits, go on, put your foot in it. I've been there too. Doors seem to be more visible. They are what we like to consider official. Doors say, you've been chosen, you have arrived. But windows whisper, you're free. But some of us, we would rather try to break down a locked door than climb through a window that God has already opened to us. So we're going to talk about why we do that. And we're going to talk about a different way to look at windows, so that you can see the value in an open window as opposed to a locked door that you keep banging on that probably will not and should not open for you. So this is point one. Why do we try to break down doors? Here's the long and short of it. We break down doors because we want the validation. We want to feel that sense of being selected. We want confirmation that we are good enough to come through the door. We want the narrative to say, they had no choice but to let me in because I broke down the door. That's what makes breaking down a door that's been closed to you ego-driven. Whereas climbing through a window is purpose-driven. When you are banging on a locked door, you are fighting, you are resisting. But when you step through a window that God has opened for you, you are moving with grace. Revelation 3:8 is a message, and this is the NIV version. It's a message from Jesus to the church in Philadelphia. And it says, I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, that you have kept my word and have not denied my name. In short, this particular open door promises divine opportunity, and it commends faithful obedience to God despite limited resources. So this door that Jesus is talking about is a representation of divine opportunity. But here's where we get tripped up. What if the door that Jesus opens doesn't look like the one you wanted? What if it's not the marriage you wanted? What if it's not the job title you wanted? It's not the prestigious invitation you wanted. It's not the apology you wanted. It's not the reconciliation that you wanted. The open door described in that particular scripture may not be all of those things, but what if it's your access to the peace, the joy, or the divine opportunity that you've been praying for? Just what if? It's not all those other things that you thought you wanted, but maybe it's something else. And maybe that something else is even better. Point 2. Doors are about permission when that door has been locked to you. But windows are about movement. And this is what I mean. Doors require someone on the inside to turn the handle when the door is locked from the inside. Windows, you can open from your side. So just think about that. If God has already opened the window, it's unlocked. You can open it from your side. So that's how some of us end up staying stuck, because we are waiting for someone else to grant us access when the access we really need, and the only access we need, is a yes from God. We end up waiting for Him, the significant other you think you want, to choose, waiting for the company to promote. Sometimes we're waiting for the friend to repair the relationship, or waiting for the family member to validate our feelings. And meanwhile, the window of self-respect, the window of new opportunities, the window of quiet detachment and emotional regulation, the window of reinvention, of recalibration, has been open the entire time. But you can't see it because your ego is telling you, you got to go in through this locked door. You got to prove to them that you are worthy to be on the other side of that door. So you're going to stand outside of that door and you're going to bang on it and kick it and try to knock it down, just to prove your worth to people who have shown you they don't want you in there. They have shown you this, and you just don't believe it. So you keep knocking and you keep kicking, and you keep trying to knock down a door that has been closed and locked to you. Isaiah 43:19 says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Sometimes we don't perceive it because we're too busy kicking the door. Let's just tell the truth about it. We can't perceive the new thing that God is doing for us because we're so busy still trying to make something out of the old thing that really we should have let go of a long time ago. We should have walked away from that old locked door a long time ago. No shade, no judgment. I've been there. Number 3, the cost of forcing entry. So let's talk about the emotional cost of trying to force your way into a closed, locked door. It can leave you bruised. Trying to force your way into a locked door can leave you defensive. It is exhausting. Ask me how I know. If you do get in, you're going to be mad. You're going to go in there trying to prove yourself, and then you're going to be indebted to the person on the other side who locked the door in the first place. But when you climb through that open window that God has made for you, you enter lighter. You enter more mobile. You are adaptable. You enter quietly but confidently. Because the forced access creates unstable foundations. And here's the truth that none of us like. We don't like it, but it's true. If you have to force it, you will eventually have to maintain it. And maintenance of something you forced is 100% exhausting. It will leave you depleted. I'm telling you. Just listen to Auntie Sandy. It will leave you depleted, trying to force what was never meant to be. Point 4, window entry requires humility. There's nothing glamorous about climbing through an open window. It may look like letting go without closure, releasing without explanation, pivoting without applause. Nobody is watching you pivot. So you're not going to get the kudos. You're not going to get the pat on the back. It may look like starting over without these big announcements. It might look like dating differently, loving differently, living differently. It requires humility. It requires us to say, maybe this just is not the door for me. Proverbs 16:9, it says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And sometimes those steps look a little sideways. They're not forward, they're not backwards, they're sideways. And they're sideways because on that side is a window. So I want to ask some questions. And you can put your answer in the comments or not. I'll leave that up to you. What door are you currently banging on? Like in a maniacal type of way. Like you've been banging and kicking this door for 10 years. What is that door for you? What relationships are you trying to force? Or have you tried to force to no avail? What outcome are you trying to negotiate when God has clearly told you this is not for you? What version of yourself are you trying to resurrect? You know that that version of you no longer serves God's purpose in your life. And yet you keep trying to go back to who you used to be because who you are trying to become, this person that God has ordained you to become, she doesn't feel as valuable as who you once were because she walks in quiet strength. She's not forcing anything. She is allowing what God has for her to come to her because she understands that what God has for her will never miss her. And so there's no reason to force anything. That version of you carries quiet confidence, quiet strength. The old you, because you didn't know better, thought the louder that I am, the more attention I get, the more I'm seen, that means I'm more valuable. But that's who you used to be. You didn't know better. And now you know better, but you still have the residue of the old you lingering on you somewhere. And that residue is saying validation has to be public in order for it to be potent. And I'm here to tell you that is not true. When you finally decide to allow God to help you walk in your divine assignment, you're not worried about applause. You're not worried about being seen. You're not worried about platforms. You're not worried about invitations from, whoever you think you need to get an invitation from. None of that matters. Once you start walking in the purpose that God has for your life, once you start to respect the plan that God has for your life, you don't worry about all of those things. You just do what it is that God has instructed you to do. You carry out his directives with humility. And then God will elevate you in due time in a way that brings him glory, brings him honor, and puts you in those spaces that he always meant for you to be in. But you were too busy kicking and screaming about something else. God will elevate you in due time. And once you learn that and you understand that, you don't force anything. You let God order your steps. trusting, believing, and knowing that what God has for you is for you. Now, I'm gonna tell the truth. Y'all know I try to be as transparent as I can. I don't tell y'all all my business because it's my business, but I try to be as transparent as I can. And there have been moments in my life, in my own life, where I mistook access for alignment. And what I mean by that is I was thinking, if I just explain myself better, if I love better, if I wait longer, if I make more adjustments, that door will finally open. But then I got introduced to the peace that surpasses all understanding. And that peace showed me something else. Peace said, you don't need the door. There's an open window. And it's got your name on it. And you can lift it up from your side of the house to gain entry into what God has for you. So tonight I want to declare over my own life, and you can declare it with me if you like. I want to declare over my own life that I have stopped forcing access. I stopped negotiating entry. I stopped bruising myself against locked spaces. If it's for me, it will open. If it doesn't open, I will move on gracefully and quietly, with my dignity and my self-respect intact. I will no longer break down doors while God has provided a window for me. Because in this homecoming season, life is not about something or someone being accessible to you. No. It's about that person or that thing being in alignment with what God's best is for you. It's not about accessibility. Accessibility is not enough. You can have access to a whole lot of things, but those things may not be good for you. No, this is about being in alignment with God's best for you. That's what homecoming season is about. And that's what I want for my life. And I think that's what you want for your life too. So thank you for joining me tonight for another episode of Fridays by the Fire. I hope that this message resonated with you, connected with you, helped you learn a lesson that maybe you needed and you didn't know you needed it, or confirm for you that, what you've been praying about and what God has been speaking to your spirit is right, and that you need to follow the voice of the Lord. Any one of those things. I hope you walk away with something tonight that you can use for your own life to help you move in the direction that God would have you move in, to experience the fullness of His power in your life. That's my hope and my prayer for you tonight. Again, thank you for joining me. In the meantime, y'all be good. God bless and good night.